Same stable as Emebe, same manager, and Cooney's here to root on his stablemate.
Let's set this one up, Murray. Obviously, Marvin Johnson has the great experience. Emebe is the young, aspiring light heavyweight who wants so desperately to make a name for himself. Handled by Dennis Rappaport, who obviously has a big name reputation. You think this thing has a chance of going 15 rounds?
I very much doubt it, but I called the last fight, and you've seen what happened. So both of these guys have reputation as punchers. There's no way in my mind that this fight can go 15 rounds.
Okay, let's go up to our ring announcer now and get the introductions of the two fighters as we brace ourselves for the WBA Light Heavyweight Championship of the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, the feature of the evening, the WBA Light Heavyweight Championship, scheduled for 15 rounds. Introducing the challenger in the blue corner, weighing 174 pounds, wearing blue trunks with a red stripe. His record is 24-2 from the Cameroon's West Africa, Jean-Marie Emebe. In the red corner, weighing 174.5 pounds, wearing white trunks with a black stripe, with a record of 42-5, the three-time world light heavyweight champion of the world, marvelous Marvin Johnson.
Well, it's not difficult to tell who the crowd favorite is. Marvin Johnson, born, raised, lives, works, eats, breathes, everything in Indianapolis, Indiana. This is his hometown crowd, but he will have his hands full tonight. Jean-Marie Emebe, a very hungry young man from the Cameroon in Africa, fighting out of Paris, France. It is Emebe in the blue trunks and Marvin Johnson in the white trunks, and Johnson with a wild left in the opening seconds of the first round.
That's one thing Johnson is not reputed for, is feeling out process. The bell goes and he decides it's time to fight.
And that's exactly what he's doing. Trying to take advantage of perhaps Emebe being a little disoriented with all the hoopla. This may be the biggest fight of Emebe's life. It certainly is for the most prestige of anything he's ever fought for. In a strange land, a strange environment, and all the circumstances, Murray, that surround it.
Yes, he doesn't even speak the language too good, Sam. He is going to be nervous. He's going to be edgy, at least for the first round. But as any fighter knows, that after the first round, after the bell goes for the first round, you lose a lot of your butterflies. Things start coming together easier.
It may not look it at the camera angle that you are seeing now, but Emebe, when standing upright, has a couple of inches height advantage over Marvin Johnson, the champion. And Johnson has such an incredible story to tell. 2 minutes to go here in the first round. I only hope the fight lasts long enough so that we can unravel all of the very interesting background. Oh, right on the nose. Johnson with a short left hand, but it didn't faze Emebe at all, who countered with a left and right to the body. Both young men have such incredible stories to tell, but Johnson, such an unbelievable. He is one of only 2 men in the history of the sport of boxing to hold a title 3 times. He has never successfully defended the light heavyweight championship. He won it, then lost it in the very next fight. He won it again and lost it on the very next fight. He has now won it for a 3rd time, and this is his first title defense, and he has tried to do something he's never done before. But he makes no bones about the fact that at the age of 32, and after 13 years as a professional, the only thing he's fighting for is money. He wants a big payday, Murray, and you certainly must know what that's like.
Yes, the only way you get big paydays is if you hold a title. That's the only reason.
We will stay here as we did in the first fight between the first 2 rounds. Just get a feel of what the fighters are feeling, what they look like up close, and what their handlers are saying to them.
The telling punch from Johnson, Sam, is going to be his left. I'll call it an uppercut. It's like a left hook, but it's an uppercut at the same time. Very, very powerful punch. He has dropped a number of his opponents with this punch. Very short, like a 45-degree angle type uppercut.
The only rules that differ from the WBA and the USBA that you really need to know at the moment are the 3 knockdown rules. In the fight you saw just a few moments ago, they waived the 3 knockdowns. And in this particular fight, the 3 knockdowns are in effect. The fighter goes down 3 times in 1 round, and the fight is over. Under 10 seconds to go, and as I said, we'll stay here. The feeling out process has ended for the first round. And a standing ovation for Johnson, as there will be most of the fight after each round, trying to exhort him on. Let's go back to the corner now of the light heavyweight champion, Marvin Johnson.
Stay close with your hand over here. When you do, turn your body all the way. Nice and cool. This guy's shit. This guy's dead. This guy. The circle also, like this. Nice and cool. Nice and cool. Keep moving. Don't straight. Don't get straight. Watch, he's going to throw more left hand. So give him a little face. So
Okay, Murray, let's look at a couple of these shots by Marvin Johnson early on.
Johnson scored some beautiful left hands. Boom, right there. He scored 2 or 3 of them right near the end of the round, just as the bell was sounding.
Is it a cut they're working on above his right arm?
Yes, we were noticing in between rounds, the cut man for Marvin Johnson was working feverishly. There's a cut developed over the right eye of Marvin Johnson. You can see the blood already on the front of his shots.
There you can see Emebe with a 3-inch height advantage. Weight almost identical, obviously, a 175-pound weight limit. Emebe 30 years old, Marvin Johnson 32. Emebe a little on in his life. Perhaps to be trying to gain some notoriety, but he has fought in rather unknown circles, having fought in Europe, and has changed his style dramatically. Was basically that stand-up classic European fighter until he came and got into the hands of Victor Valley and Dennis Rappaport. And what have they done to change his style?
They have changed the style to the extent that coming from Africa and from Paris, he had what we call the European stand-up type boxing style. Very upright, very unprotected, taking a lot of punches when he's backing up. They've got him adapted now to what they call the American style. A lot more bobbing and weaving, a lot more body punches, hands held higher. That is basically lots of side-to-side movement, son.
2 minutes to go in the second round. We are scheduled for 15 here at the Market Square Arena, and both are exchanging some wicked body punches. Emebe just working on the body of Marvin Johnson.
Johnson has to be concerned with that cut. It's the opening round. He knows he's got 14 long rounds to go, and he has already a cut in the first round. It's got to change his fight plan to a certain extent.
Murray, we made a big deal all through this evening leading up to this fight about the fact you're the only man who has really whipped Jean-Marie Emebe. How did you do it, and what would you suggest for Marvin Johnson?
Johnson has got to do what I done, pressure. That's the only way to beat Jean-Marie Emebe. If you back up and give him fighting room, he is going to walk all over you because he's so strong. He is the strongest guy I've ever fought. And Johnson's got to do what he's doing right now, is trying to back him up, smother him with punches.
What did you knock him out with?
A series of punches, actually. It was accumulation of a good right hand lead with a couple of left hooks.
Oh, good right hand by Emebe. Another good right hand. This has been a very, very strong round for Emebe. Under a minute to go in the second round. He has done some damage here on Johnson, not only in the body, but he has let a couple of wicked rights go that have grazed the side of the head of Marvin Johnson.
What's happened now, Sam, is Emebe came into the fight intimidated. He's fighting a world champion. It's got to play on your mind. After you hit him a few times, you say, hey, this guy's human. I can hit him. And this is what's happened to him now. He's discovered that he can punch the world champion, and he's now taking the fight to Johnson.
Under 30 seconds to go. We alert our local stations. We'll be taking a break with you after round number 2. And this has already got the makings of a great, great fight. Emebe just seems to be muscling Johnson. Hit him with a good right uppercut. Under 10 seconds to go in the round. A very strong round for Jean-Marie Emebe. We'll return after this word from your local station. We are back live. Sam Nover and Murray Sutherland ringside of the Market Square Arena. This is a WBA light heavyweight championship. Marvin Johnson coming out strong with a couple of left hands. And Emebe got to spit some fluid out of his mouth right at Johnson.
The chant was going off just prior to the start of the third round, Sam. Marvin, Marvin, Marvin. This crowd is behind Johnson 100%.
They are wired here in Indianapolis, but they have been here before and seen some of the great moments in Johnson's career and some of the rather infamous moments, so to speak.
It was in this very arena 4 or 5 years ago when he lost to, at the time, was Matt Franklin, who later became Matthew Saad Muhammad. That was one of the all-time wars I have ever seen in boxing.
Did he not win the title back from Leslie Stewart here as well?
Correct.
He has held it for a third time. And he is trying desperately for the first time in his career to successfully defend his title. 2 minutes to go in round 3, scheduled for 15. And at the pace they began this fight, Murray, they would appear to have no chance in making 15.
I don't think either fighter has any intention in his mind of going 15 rounds. Johnson is the pressure type of fighter. He is going to fight like that from bell 1 to bell 15 if it takes that long. But I don't think either one of those guys have any intentions of going 15 rounds. And the kind of punches they're throwing, that any one of those punches could take the other guy out.
Midway through the 3rd round, Marvin Johnson, 47 professional fights. He's won 42, 37 then by knockout. Jean-Marie Emebe, 26-2, 20 knockouts. Lost 1 by disqualification and lost another on a knockout by the gentleman seated to my right and my broadcast partner for tonight's card, Murray Sutherland. And maybe your observations on Emebe as the fight progresses, whether or not does he gain in strength? Does he lose? What has been the modus operandi, so to speak, of John Emebe?
The only fight I've ever seen him fight, Sam, was when he was standing right in front of me. And that night, we see some terrific action here.
Tremendous left and right by Emebe. Johnson missing with the left, and Emebe just cuffing him with the right hand. Again, we'll take a local break coming up here after the 3rd round. Emebe with a left and then a good right uppercut, a double uppercut.
Johnson has had Emebe pinned against those ropes for the last 30 seconds, but Emebe has felt comfortable there. He's been fighting back and catching Johnson and just caught him there with another good right hand.
Under 15 seconds to go in the 3rd round. It has been an outstanding first 3 rounds, and we'll return to the Market Square Arena in Indianapolis after this word from your local station.
Emebe scores so well off the ropes with right hands and beautiful left hooks. Johnson has him there for 20 seconds or so, but Emebe was doing all the good work.
We are back live. This is the 4th round, and as they have done for the first 3, they have met immediately in the center of the ring and begun to exchange punches. Emebe with a good right hand backs Johnson up. Jean-Marie Emebe in the blue trunks, the WBA light heavyweight champion Marvin Johnson in the white trunks. And Emebe with tremendous amount of upper body strength. Digging hard to the side of Marvin Johnson. Now Emebe being warned by referee Luis Rivera that one was a little bit lower than just the side.
That's where that bobbing and weaving of the American style comes in handy, Sam. Before, he was a very upright type fighter, and that movement didn't come natural to him. He's been working with Victor Valley. He has that movement, and he's avoiding a lot of punches now.
You must be looking into my mind, Murray Sutherland. Good left hand by Johnson. He missed with a wild left hook there.
Beautiful left hand.
2 minutes to go in the 4th round. I was just going to say that Emebe was not accustomed naturally to that bobbing and weaving, but he has learned it very well. Straight right by Johnson, and Emebe walked right into it. Luis Rivera working this WBA light heavyweight championship fight, and he's an excellent referee. He has taken control immediately, and he'll give each fighter a very mean look if he doesn't like what they're doing in terms of following the rules of the sport.
And believe me, Luis was a bad fighter in his time as well. Fought 10 rounds with Vito Antuofermo.
Boy, the infighting in this one is just tremendous. The body punches. I know you've heard the expression 1,000 times, Murray, and so has our audience, but you kill the body and the head will die. A minute to go in the round, and Johnson has Emebe right over our Bud Sports microphone. And the crowd reacting accordingly. They are on their feet in parts of this building.
Emebe's making a bad mistake right now. He's dropping his hands. You watch when he gets against the ropes, his hands come down. And that is a bad mistake when you're fighting Johnson.
We will take a local break here at the end of round 4. Marvin Johnson with a very, very good round, but he knows he's in a war. Emebe with a short right hand underneath.
Beautiful straight left hand by Johnson. That is Johnson's best punch.
Emebe with an excellent combination. 3 or 4 or 5 punches right in front of us here. And they are standing toe-to-toe. 10 seconds to go to the round. This has been a superb fight. We'll return to the Market Square Arena for round number 5 after this word from your local stations. Come on. More than just an interested bystander. Jerry Cooney coming from the same stable that handles Jean-Marie Emebe. specifically his manager, Dennis Rappaport, and his trainer, Victor Valley. And very, very interested in how Emebe does here. This is round 5. We're scheduled for 15, and both have exploded here in the first 4 rounds.
Emebe is starting to, I don't know how to describe it, but he's not using as much head movement as he did in the first 2 rounds. And you've got to do that with Johnson. He's starting to resort. There was a good elbow there by Emebe. He's starting to resort back to that European style of just standing there clawing with his left hand, leaving himself open for punches.
Did you not tell Marvin Johnson yesterday that Emebe stood right there in front of your face for the entire 9 rounds?
The fight that I fought him in previously, 2.5 years ago, yes. He was like a big statue standing right in front of me. Most of the time he was laying on me.
And Johnson said if he does that against me, he won't be there for very long.
That's correct.
2 minutes to go in the 5th round. Boy, it's been a long struggle for Jean-Marie Emebe to get here. Born in the Cameroon 30 years ago, moved to Paris some 13 years ago, picked up recently by his new management team, has actually might even be guilty of having overtrained for this fight. Began training back in April. Johnson with a good 1-2 punch right on the button of Emebe. As I started to say, Emebe's been training for this fight since April. It was postponed. It was scheduled for June in Bermuda. And he says he's watched hundreds of hours of Marvin Johnson. He could write a book on him.
He said yesterday, as you recall, Sam, that he knows Marvin Johnson better than Marvin Johnson.
He did indeed. He did indeed. But knowing him and beating him may be 2 different things.
This is true. And like you referred to earlier, there is a chance he could be overtrained, because not that he has trained for all those months, but it's been on his mind. Psychologically, he may be burnt out on Marvin Johnson. I don't think so, though. When you're talking about world championships, it's hard to do.
This has been the slowest pace to the 5 rounds thus far, under a minute to go. And understandably so, both needed to take kind of a rest. Good right hand by Emebe. And Johnson countered again with a left and then missed a left uppercut. Boy, Emebe will take one to land one, won't he? He's standing right there.
He's standing right in front of Johnson, and by all records, that is a bad thing to do with a southpaw, because you're wide open for his straight left hand. Neither of these fighters, I think, have taken one backward step. A good right hand by Emebe.
And he follows
another
it again. Now Emebe chasing him across the ring. Under 10 seconds to go, and he's got Marvin Johnson in just a wee bit of trouble here. But this round will end. 5 rounds complete from the Market Square Arena in Indianapolis. We'll be back after this. Sam Nover and Murray Sutherland back live here in Indianapolis, round 6. And as he has done every one of the preceding 5 rounds, Marvin Johnson almost running out of his corner. He is up a good 15 seconds before the start of the round. His handlers take the stool out of the ring, and he stands there and kind of dashes to the mid-ring to meet his opponent.
Emebe's changed his fight plan a little bit in this round, Sam. He's doing a lot more dancing, moving around the ring. Maybe the corner have told him, hey, let's try and carry this guy into the later rounds. He's 32 years old. You've got a lot of age on him. And let's try and tire him out a little bit before we stand right in front of him.
For the record, Marvin Johnson won his first WBA light heavyweight championship way back in December of 1978 as he beat Matty Parloff. But he lost his very next fight, as Murray talked about, to the then Matt Franklin. So he had held it for such a short period of time, a matter of only 4 months and only 1 fight. He then won it again in 1979 from Victor Galendez, and on his very next encounter, he lost it to Eddie Gregory. And then he waited a very long time, from 1980 until February of 1986, before Marvin Johnson won it for an unprecedented 3rd time, beating Leslie Stewart right here in Indianapolis. And this is his first title defense. And how desperately he wants to win it, Murray. As he was quoted in the Indianapolis News, incidentally in an excellent article written by Brian Settle yesterday, he said, you know, if I win this fight, I'm making $75,000 is all I'm getting for it. My next fight, maybe I can get $150,000. He said, but if I lose it, good left hand by Johnson again, but Emebe took it and stood right there. Emebe has taken everything that Johnson has to throw his way. Anyway, to finish, an upper right hand by Emebe. Jarred the head of Marvin Johnson. They have taken each other's best shots, one would think.
Emebe is catching Johnson with some beautiful punches. A lesser guy would be gone by now, but Johnson, being a true champion like he is, he's in there fighting for his title. And I think, like you were just referring to, a lot of it has to do with, hey, if I lose this title, I go back to fighting for the mediocre bucks.
Yeah.
If I retain this title with a good, impressive win over the #1 contender, I'm guaranteed a good payday.
And that's exactly what it is. To finish the quote, he said, if I win, I can fight for maybe $150,000. If I lose, I'm back to fighting for $1,000 a night. And he doesn't want to do that. Again, we alert our local stations. We'll be taking a break and coming your way right after this round. This is the end of round 6 upcoming. Boy, they've taken everything, and they have delivered some vicious shots. Again, Emebe with a good right hand, and Johnson counters with a left paw. We'll return after this word from your local station to the Market Square Arena in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Here we see the exchange of punches in the earlier round, Sam. Emebe catching some beautiful punches from Johnson and then coming right back with some beautiful uppercuts and a shoulder there and some good right hands.
We're back live again. This is the 7th round, scheduled for 15. Some people didn't think we'd get this far, and under the circumstances, the way they've delivered the blows, you kind of wonder how they have. Again, Emebe in the blue trunks and Marvin Johnson, the champion, in the white trunks. And while we've talked so much about Marvin Johnson wanting to win to be able to make more money, Emebe is going to lose money on this fight, his handlers claim. He was originally guaranteed $30,000, then after the postponement, they dropped it to $10,000. His handlers contend that it's going to cost him $30,000 just to fight here. But that's how much he wants the title, and so he's fighting for what some people would consider, Murray, a very paltry $10,000 tonight.
Well, everybody knows in the fight game, you don't make any money fighting for a title, you make money defending the title.
You got to have the belt, huh?
You've got to have it. See, that's what they call the marketable commodity.
Under 2 minutes to go in the 7th round. Marvin Johnson, Jean-Marie Emebe. And if they say that styles make the match and it has any validity whatsoever, we couldn't ask for anything better here.
No, I was so pleased when I got the chance to come here and do this, because Marvin Johnson has been one of my favorite light heavyweight champions ever since I started boxing, and I have some personal interest because I fought and beat Emebe, and I knew both the styles would come together and make for one terrific fight, and it has.
Midway through the 7th round, Emebe misses with a wild overhand right. Emebe has, as Murray mentioned, changed his fight plan, deviated a little bit as his fight has progressed, but he has still pretty much been there for Marvin Johnson. He has been pretty much right in front of him.
He is catching Johnson now with some very telling punches, Sam. Johnson is slowing down a little bit, and he may not be catching him with a lot of them, but he is catching him with some very powerful punches.
And again, we alert all of our local stations. We'll be taking a break at the end of this, the 7th round. They are in Emebe's corner here, and Emebe trying to fight his way out of it. Trying to turn Marvin around, slaps him with the right hand. Under 30 seconds to go in the round. Rivera warns holding and hitting.
He had his glove cupped around the back of Johnson's head, and he was trying to catch him with the uppercut, which is a foul.
We'll return after this word from your local station with round number 8, scheduled for 15. Back live in the Market Square Arena, Jean-Marie Emebe, through a translator, was told by his handler that he's got to start fighting with both hands, Murray.
Yeah, he's tending to hold on with one hand while punching with the other one. And Victor Valley, his head cornerman, is telling him you've got to punch with 2 hands, not 1 hand. Don't hold on with 1 hand.
So round number 8 now. Emebe in the blue trunks and Marvin Johnson in the white trunks. What is a fighter going through mentally at this point after he has delivered and taken such incredible shots? Johnson with a barrage of 5 or 6 in a row. They both look obviously fatigued, Murray. I know you've been in that position before.
That was a clash of heads here. Emebe has suffered a tremendous gash over his left eye.
He sure has.
Very bad cut.
Well, they've been rolling their heads around there, and finally he got butted by Marvin Johnson. He's complaining about it.
Plus, one of the other factors is both of them are clean shaven. There's no hair in there to muffle the blow.
Under 2 minutes to go in the 8th round.
Emebe is trying now to butt Johnson. When you see in close, you'll see his head shoot across, and he is purposely trying to butt him.
Well, it is Emebe who got butted and who has suffered the gash now over his left eye. And that could be very damaging as this fight goes on.
Very damaging. We're only halfway through the fight as such, and he has got a very bad cut over that eye. It's in the position where the doctor would recommend the referee to stop it because the blood goes into the eye and obscures his vision.
This crowd is almost pandemonious. They can almost sense that Marvin, perhaps, if he could take advantage of that opportunity at 1 minute mark now, the 8th round, 1 minute to go, he could do something that he has dreamed about all of his life and never been able to do, and that's to have one successful defense of his light heavyweight championship. Now it's a minute to go. And Marvin's working it pretty good. Still content to work down on the body. Johnson with a double left hook.
Johnson with a beautiful left hand.
Emebe with an overhand right and then an uppercut that just missed. Boy, they are just toe-to-toe. There is blood now coming from the mouth of Emebe, unless it is the blood that is dripped down from his eye. Oh, Johnson with a great combination. And Emebe standing right there. What a warhorse he is. Jean-Marie Emebe from Cameroon, now fighting out of Paris, and Marvin Johnson like he's fighting for his life.
He is literally fighting for his life now. His life is resting right in the palms of our hands.
What an incredible 8th round. Everybody is on their feet. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it or not, but we're going to try to go back to the ring. Well, I hope you could hear what they had to say, because I couldn't hear a word of it. It is so deafening here in the Market Square Arena as we hear the bell for round number 9. I don't know if you could hear anything, Murray. I couldn't distinguish one word from the corner.
No, I couldn't hear very much, Sam. I did observe the corner of Emebe. They were working feverishly to try and stop that cut over the eye. And in doing so, they forgot to put the mouthpiece back in Emebe. Emebe is now fighting this round without a mouthpiece.
Uh-oh. And Johnson just chasing him around the ring now. Emebe just spitting out blood. And he does not have a mouthpiece. Marvin Johnson with a good right hand. And Emebe now throws a straight right that just grazes the shoulder of Marvin Johnson.
Emebe already has a cut in his lip. I've seen Victor Valley administering some coagulant to the bottom lip of Emebe. And now he's fighting around without a mouthpiece, which can only endanger it more. Not only that, the cut over his left eye is very bad.
Well, his cut man is going to be a busy gentleman here should we go any further. 2 minutes remaining here in the 9th round. This will be an eternity for Jean-Marie Emebe. And already our table here at ringside is splattered with blood. In fact, your lovely tuxedo in my hand, Mr. Sutherland. Sometimes it's the price you pay for a great fight, and this has been a great fight. I hope we're not overstating the case. A minute and a half to go in round number 9. Emebe has been hit with everything in the Marvin Johnson arsenal, and conversely, Emebe has leveled some rockets at Johnson, and he stood right there and taken it.
What's holding both these guys up right now is the heart of champions and the will to win. That's entirely what is holding those guys up.
We alert our local stations in 1 minute. We'll be taking a break here before round number 10. It'll be coming your way.
Emebe has just been caught with two good left hands. Good punches.
Johnson has shown some great stamina in this fight. Of course, he has been conditioned to go 15 many times before. Emebe wailing away with the right hand. He uses the right hand almost like a sledgehammer. An extremely strong young man, Jean-Marie Emebe, but he is bleeding profusely now from above that left eye. And that's got to cause him some serious trouble. Under 30 seconds to go. Round number 9. Johnson looks pretty much unscathed. Good right hand by Marvin.
Johnson just threw and landed a beautiful right hook. Now Emebe is starting to be bothered by that blood running in his eye. Every right hand that Johnson throws now is connecting.
Stand by for our local stations. We'll return after this message. Sam Nover and Murray Sutherland were ringside at a great WBA light heavyweight championship fight. In the blue trunks, it's Jean-Marie Emebe from Cameroon against the champion Marvin Johnson. And you would think that Marvin Johnson has everything to lose. He's fighting more tenaciously perhaps than at any time in his life. He has failed to defend a title twice before that he has held. This is the third time that he is holding the WBA light heavyweight championship, and he is trying to successfully defend it for the very first time. Emebe, like a man possessed, wanting to win the title for recognition and the opportunity for some real stardom. Emebe, ranked number 2 by the WBA, ranked number 1 by the WBC. Just an outstanding light heavyweight, but as Murray Sutherland so aptly put it a few rounds ago, you can't make any money unless you got the belt. We're scheduled for 15 rounds.
The cut off Emebe is reopened and is bleeding very badly, Sam. I would suspect the referee at any time could step in and have the ringside doctor look at it to advise him whether it should be going, whether it should continue or not.
Murray and I both noticed that between the 9th and 10th rounds, one of the handlers from Marvin Johnson called Luis Rivera, the referee, over and was screaming at him. And the guess may be, and I'm only guessing, that maybe he wants somebody to stop the fight and declare his fighter the winner.
That's entirely true. I have known corner men of the opposite corner shouting to the referee, "Stop it, stop it."
Emebe was backing away. Johnson caught him with the left hand, but Emebe was backing out of there, so it lost some of the impact.
Emebe just stopped Johnson in his tracks with a beautiful straight right hand. Set him right back on his heels. Johnson just comes bulldogging in though.
One minute to go in round number 10. And who would have thought it was going to reach this point? Certainly nobody here in Indianapolis.
I certainly didn't, Stan.
Under 30 seconds to go in the 10th round. Double right hook by Johnson, connected on Emebe. And again, John Emebe having his vision impaired by the blood that continues to drip from the right eye. And into his mouth, might I add. His lips are red from the blood that continues to drip down his face. And all he does is spit it out of the way and go. This is round 11. 15-rounder from the Market Square Arena in Indianapolis. Marvin Johnson in the white trunks. 42-5, his professional record with 37 knockouts. Jean-Marie Emebe, who now has cuts over both his right and left eye. 26-2, knocked out 20 of his opponents. Been disqualified once and lost to Murray Sutherland, my broadcast partner here tonight, who knocked him out in the 9th round. Emebe has survived the 9th round and the 10th round in this fight for the WBA Light Heavyweight Championship, but he is in discernible trouble. Murray, there's no question about that.
Absolutely, Sam. He has got bad cuts over both eyes. The one over the left eye particularly, very white gash. Just sustained a cut over the right eye just at the end of that last round.
And Dr. Crutchall, who is the doctor here at ringside, took a good look at Emebe for the very first time after that 10th round, and he allowed him to come out here for round number 11. So while they look like they're dangerous, they are not bad enough to stop the fight. 2 minutes to go in the 11th round. Johnson again with a right lead and the left follow. A double right hook. He goes down to the body and then comes up high to the side of the head. Marvin Johnson seemingly gaining a bit of control in the fight, Murray, in the last few rounds.
Yes, he's turned the tide around a little bit. He's putting the same kind of pressure on Emebe as he's done in all his fights. He is starting now to take control of his fight. Oh, he just caught Emebe with a beautiful left hand, followed with a clubbing right hand.
And Emebe, as you'll see him go to the eye with his glove to wipe some of the blood from his eyes. Very muscular young man is John Emebe. And with that 3-inch height advantage, but it certainly it doesn't seem to have been of any aid to him. 1 minute to go here in the 11th round.
Oh, beautiful
Good left hook. Again, I alert our local stations of an upcoming break at the end of the 11th round. Right uppercut by Emebe. Now working on the body of Marvin Johnson right over our microphone. And Luis Rivera with a warning now. And what is this?
I think they're bringing the ringside physician back in to check the cuts on Emebe.
Dr. Crutchell is being brought back into the ring. Victor Valley is now working on his fighter, wiping off some of the blood.
Which is not allowed. He is not allowed to be up there.
And the doctor is pulling Valley away. I don't know if you can see it, but right next to Emebe, Victor Valley, the trainer for Jean-Marie Emebe, is incensed. And the doctor keeps pushing him away because he's wiping the blood out of the eyes of Jean-Marie Emebe. We have 25 seconds left in the round.
This is a total sham. It is against all rules for him to be there administering to those cuts. He should have been disqualified the minute he stood on that ring apron.
Well, the doctor knew it, but the referee didn't do anything about it. And so the final 25 seconds of this round will be fought. Emebe was able to get some of the blood cleared out of his eye. And we apparently are going to reach the end of round 11 amid some controversy. From the Market Square Arena in Indianapolis for the WBA Light Heavyweight Championship. We'll return after this word from your local station. Well, as I mentioned, at the end of round 11, we have a raging controversy here in Indianapolis. Referee Luis Rivera was told by everybody, including the WBA president, that what he allowed to happen should not have been allowed to happen. And Murray Sutherland sat here at ringside and told you that Victor Valley had no business on the ring apron when Rivera brought the fighter over to have him examined by the doctor. But Valley, the very crafty trainer that he is, sneaked in, got his fighter cleaned up before the doctor examined him, and everybody from the Marvin Johnson corner from the WBA is screaming bloody murder. No pun intended.
This is true, yeah. The minute while a round is in progress, if he places one foot on the ring apron, he automatically disqualifies his fighter. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Doesn't matter what state you're in.
So it's incumbent upon the referee to allow that disqualification to happen then.
He should have disqualified Emebe immediately.
He did not, and we continue into round 12 of a 15-rounder. And one of the better fights you'll see. 2 minutes to go here in the 12th round. Jean-Marie Emebe, the challenger from Cameroon, Africa, in the blue trunks, and Marvin Johnson, WBA Light Heavyweight champion, fighting as if his life depends on it, and maybe in his own mind it does, because he has failed to defend a crown twice before that he won, and this is his third opportunity, and he is trying not to let this one escape as well.
I think right now Johnson is fighting on just pure heart. He is so tired. He's pushed this fight right from the middle rounds. He's held the fight for the last 5 or 6 rounds. He's got to be fighting on sheer guts and heart. Emebe just scored with a good, short, sharp left hand, which had Johnson reeling for a couple of seconds.
Emebe has not stopped throwing leather from the opening bell. He has not backed up once. A couple of his punches forced Marvin Johnson to take steps backward. A minute to go in the 12th round. But Emebe has not retreated one time tonight. And he has taken some real shots. The right eye of Emebe is almost closed, Murray.
There must be very little sight coming out of that eye, which will only land to Johnson's left now. He can land that left whenever he wants. If he's close to him and Emebe's right hand is down, he'll land his left hook.
25 seconds to go in the 12th round. And so you will hear a lot about this fight long after it's over.
Johnson just scored with two beautiful right hands and a good left cross.
A fight that perhaps should have been over by disqualification a round ago was allowed to continue. And should Emebe come back to win this, you'll have a time in this fight. The ringside physician, Dr. Crutchall, has gone up to examine Jean-Marie Emebe, and for the third time he has allowed him to continue here, Murray. This is the 13th round. Marvin Johnson, the champion in the white trunks, holding on for dear life to a title that he covets and looking for a big payday, but he's got to get through this one. Jean-Marie Emebe with an opportunity to become the champion of the world. His first, might I add.
Johnson right now is just doing everything right. He's throwing combinations. He's throwing every kind of punch from every conceivable angle you could think about. And with Emebe's sight being impaired because of that bad right eye, he's landing the majority of them.
Murray, I can't help but think, even if Emebe should lose this fight, that he can't help but gain its most valuable experience.
Oh, no doubt.
He's going to be a future champion. There is no doubt in my mind from having seen him for the very first time.
He is going to be a tough competitor. Doesn't matter who he fights.
2 minutes to go in the round. And as I mentioned at the outset of our broadcast, Emebe is no spring chicken. He is 30 years old. He got a very late start in his boxing career and, of course, spent so much time in Africa and in Europe that he didn't really come to the attention of the American fighting public until recently. And maybe it's a little late, but I have a feeling he's got an incredible amount of talent and great will.
Right now, Sam, I think the referee is really taking a close look. There is no way that they can let this.
It's over! It is over! Victor Rivera has stepped in, Murray, just as you mentioned. And he has stopped the fight, and Marvin Johnson has successfully defended for the very first time in his life. And they are celebrating here in Indianapolis.
When you see the referee doing that little shuffle, just about ready to dive in and jump back out, dive back in, he is waiting for the one good punch just to reassure his mind that he's ready to stop that fight. And for 5 seconds prior to jumping in there, he was thinking about it.
And so everyone here at the Market Square Arena is on their feet, and they have waited years and years to see not only Marvin Johnson win a WBA light heavyweight championship, but to successfully defend it. It's been stopped in the 13th round, 141 to be exact. And you can see on that camera shot that the right eye of Jean-Marie Emebe is closed shut. He can't possibly have any vision out of that. So let's gather our forces here, take a short break, and return for the official word from the ring. We'll be back after this. Marvin Johnson, here's our ring announcer.
Time, 1 minute, 41 seconds of the 13th round. The light heavyweight champion in the world, Marvin Johnson.
What a sweet night this must be for him, Murray. I know that your paths have crossed over the years. You never fought Marvin Johnson, but there seems to be a camaraderie between fighters and certainly between light heavyweights. And he had nothing but nice things to say to you yesterday at our meeting, and I know you must feel for him at this moment, and feel for Emebe, for that matter, for having failed in his first quest of a championship.
Yes, Sam, you've got to have admiration for a gentleman like Marvin Johnson. He has taken the long road. He's twice before won the light heavyweight championship, only to lose it in his first title defense.
Okay, we will take a local break now with our local stations along the network, and then come back with the winner, the WBA light heavyweight champion Marvin Johnson. We'll be back after this word from your local. We are back live at the Market Square Arena in Indianapolis, Indiana, the home of the WBA light heavyweight champion of the world, Marvin Johnson. And your reaction to the first ever successful defense of your title, Marvin?
My reaction is this. While the cameras are still watching, the world see me.
Look right in there.
Allow me to take a bow, hold the camera here. I bow to none other than my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Thank you very much for my victory tonight.
Tell me about Emebe. He seemed to be able to stand right in front of you and take almost everything you could throw his way. Right to the bitter end, Marvin.
Well, I felt all along that he would do that because of the type of fighter I was told he was and what I saw him doing against Sutherland. He was extremely aggressive. And being that aggressive, I just found it impossible for him to run from me. In fact, he did more backpedaling than I really expected.
Murray, Sutherland, and I talked repeatedly about the fact that this was a stepping stone you needed financially. You have been almost obsessed with the fact that you wanted to defend so that you can go for a big payday. Is that the thing that has been motivating you all along?
I agree with you 100%, and I'm not through yet. You know, the things that I've dreamed of for myself and my family, I can't achieve it even on the next fight. So I just thank the Lord for having me to go this far, and I hope and pray that He'll allow me to go further.
Murray, come on in here for a minute. I mean, you can identify, and I know you and Marvin, as I said, have been friends over the years. What's your reaction to Marvin, and any questions for him?
Marvin, what did you think was holding him up after about 9 or 10 rounds?
Condition, Mary. You know, when a fighter really gets in great condition, then he can take more punishment. And this guy, he was really trained hard. He told you himself how many rounds he had worked and how many films he watched, so he didn't want to lose, and that's what held him up.
Do you get the feeling this young man, Emebe, is going to be the light heavyweight champion somewhere down the road?
Well, there's a lot of tough contenders out there, and I'll say that he's going to be among the best of the contenders, but he's still got a lot of tough competition to go through.
Great fight, Marvin. We'll let you go. Congratulations to you. Great fight and a great show tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And let me say, I'm looking at Tommy Hearns next. I'm going to contact his camp, see if we can work something out.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. Murray, come on in here. Watch yourself there. Marvin Johnson, obviously the hometown favorite, and they love what they saw tonight. He has successfully defended the WBA light heavyweight championship for the very first time in his career, having earned it 3 times. And now, Murray, you wonder what's next. He said Tommy Hearns. That would mean Tommy Hearns would have to put on, what, about 10, 15 pounds?
Yes, I don't think Tommy has spoken in the past about moving up to light heavyweight, but I don't think he can successfully do it. The problem is right now, Sam, is in the light heavyweight division, there's no paydays. He's maybe looking at Bobby Chess would be a good payday.
What about Emebe?
Emebe would be a good rematch for any of the champions. Guaranteed.
Okay.